Well, it's good for us to be together today to have an opportunity to talk about this with judges and the representative of the circuit clerks, Linda. Recently, back in April, the Supreme Court entered an order which makes two case types mandatory for e-filing. And I know for some, particularly the practicing bar, this has been a long time in coming to move to this point. But since 2015, we've been trying to develop the electronic record and e-filing in the court system. We've had nearly 4 million electronic filings submitted during that period of time. And so we have found, as I suspected, that the practicing bar has found electronic filing to be a tremendous benefit to them and their customers, their clients, if you will, expect it as part of customer service of the court system. We need to be about figuring out how that works. So that's kind of why we're having this conversation today, to kind of get the reaction from circuit judges, district judge, family court judge. Kevin, we're talking to you because you're probably in the most unique situation of all. You're talking to us from your temporary quarters after the tornado. So you have a perspective that none of us has. I'm going to kind of ask you all to weigh in here. You're aware of the mandatory e-filing for these two case types, but that's just hopefully the beginning of something that will rapidly develop. So,
as you pointed out, Mayfield had a catastrophic tornado December 10th of last year and wiped out the courthouse. Within 20 business days, we were functioning as a court system. I didn't have files. So cases were on the docket. They would come up. Even for a plea on a felony case, I had to request copies, email copies of the indictments from the Commonwealth attorney and from the defendant. And I had to do both because 9 of the 11 law firms in my community were destroyed. So files, if they had been filed electronically, then I could click and I could find them. But so many files were not. I was one of those practicing attorneys that the chief mentioned. We had instituted e-filing a number of years ago. I went to the training. I came back and all the clerks know me. I'm a people person. I like to talk. So they said, Kevin, what did you learn from e-filing? I said, the number one thing I learned from e-filing training that I went to was it's not mandatory now. So I'll see you later. So that was my mindset when I started. But then when I have a different viewpoint from where I'm at now, oh man, it is fantastic. I can just click on something. I can see the orders that have been posted. If I don't like them or I want to modify them a little bit, it's easy to fix with a few clicks and some fingers on my keyboard. I mean, it's truly amazing. And I look routinely, I love those agreed orders because I could just a couple clicks and they're out. Everybody's got them. You don't have to wait a week or 2-week turnaround with the mail to get it a hard copy. So I would highly encourage everyone to use e-filing, not only just in the 2 areas that are going to be mandatory, but in other areas.
A couple of you have been in this from the very beginning. Linda and Jerry are too, but Jerry, what's your experience?
I tell you what, when I moved from district court to circuit court in December of 2020, and simply just the ability not to have to carry thick circuit court files between 3 counties is a godsend. To be able to, when I'm taking up defendants on criminal cases that have actions going on in 2 counties in which I'm not in that particular day, and I can address each one of those cases individually by simply going on the screen, pulling up the information that I need, looking at prior orders that I've entered. It's amazing. Looking at criminal history, being able to pull that up when addressing bond issues. I can even pull up at this point in time, we can pull up pretrial reports. So if somebody makes a bond request, a bond reduction request, I can pull up the pretrial report and don't even have to call pretrial services. But I can't wait till it becomes universal for everything, for all the filings that take place. I work at home quite a bit as well. So on the weekends, if I feel like I need to pick something up, I'm not taking 3,000 or 4,000 pages home. For the judges, it'll make your life so much easier to be able to work wherever you are at any point in time. You can access what you need.
If we have learned in these last couple of years, I'm sure as everyone else has, that we need to expect the unexpected. And with COVID and everything that happened with Judge Bishop's area, and then the work at the committee with Judge Crosby, that work has monumentally pushed the courts forward in terms of technology. And it is so appreciated. It is the best thing that has happened in my 25 years of full-time practice, is having the ability to make the electronic filings. And I echo what has been said by the others, that being able to get your orders immediately, once they're processed by the clerk, they ship out right away by email. And as we know, during COVID, the mail really got very, very slow. And so people weren't getting their orders in time to file the appropriate appeals. And so that was a lot of the pushback that we were receiving from the attorneys and the bar about electronic filing, is that we don't get the information in time. And it's through no fault of the clerks or the judge. It's just that the mail was not getting information to people in time. So we were very happy to be able to go to that.
Before I started law school, I actually worked in Frankfurt as a pretrial officer. So just reflecting on what Judge Bishop has said earlier, we had a defendant set fire to the Franklin Circuit Court in District Courthouse back in the 90s, and similar circumstances. So we're all paper is something that could burn up, it could get wet. It's can be damaged. So it may not happen to your community, but there's always a risk for all of us. The other thing I would say is, we have some clerks here that are accustomed to doing some things, but not others, especially on our second shift or third shift. So it's not unheard of that I get attorneys that need something really quickly, exigent circumstances sort of. So eFiling lets me do that. I can go in and file something immediately, and it's recorded, and I'm not bothering a clerk, and I'm not relying on clerks who are more accustomed, especially our second shift folks, to doing something different. So that's a huge advantage too. So, and then I just reflected what Judge Crosby has already said. I mean, the review is amazing, and he has 3 counties, even here in Lexington. You got to go across the street to Circuit to review a file, and it's just it's a massive convenience when you can see that online versus having to pull a paper file or bother a clerk and spend about 20 minutes of their time.
Thank you, John. I think one of the things that I hear pretty consistently from the practicing lawyers is that how important it is for the orders, and we've sort of talked about that already, how important it is for our orders to be entered electronically. But I kind of want one or more of you to kind of react to that. How important you think it is for us to take the time to learn how to do this, to enter our orders, and how difficult is it? I guess that's the other thing too. Somebody want to react to that?
Judge, Chief,
Sure.
I will.
Yeah.
When you enter an order, when a judge enters an order, if it's a paper order, it has to be physically brought to my office. My clerk stamps it entered, and then she has to make copies and print envelopes. If you have e-filed your order, it's already stamped entered once we work it, and the printer prints out everything we need to serve with that facing sheet. We fold it, if it has to be snail mail served, and we send it out. But if attorneys are e-filing, they got it the minute we clicked add case. So timeliness is very important, I think, with e-filing.
Yeah.
And we live in a generation where everything has to be done now. And I think our court system is moving to accommodate that way our culture has changed.
I think in terms of, is it a difficult task to do? I think initially, just because it's different from what we've been accustomed to doing in terms of processing the orders and getting them signed, that it'll seem like it's taking a little longer, but if you hang with it, I think probably over a very short period of time, it's going to become more comfortable to you. And it's also going to be less of a burden on your staff, because they'll be able to get things done a little quicker as well. And also, you're able to get those last minute filings that lawyers make when they're on their way over to motion hour, or just hours before the hearing. There's a last minute filing, and instead of having to wait for someone to process that and bring it to you, you're able to see it right in the system.
Yeah.
So I feel like it just creates efficiencies for everyone on the team, and it's worth the small amount of time that it will take judges to get used to the e-filing.
Yeah. One of the things that's going to be in the curriculum on the new judges training will be to really receive this hands-on training right away, so that you can develop new habits and become an e-filing judge for the benefit of the whole system. So it's important. I really appreciate your spending the time with me today. I think it's an important message that we need to deliver to the system. And I really appreciate all of you have been leaders in helping us move this thing along. And I really want to just tell you here in this format that I am so grateful for the time that you've spent and the insights that you provided to try to make this better. And we're all about that, trying to make this system, serve the people that we're elected to serve better. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If you need assistance with eCourts, please contact eCourts support at kycourts.net or 502-573-2350, extension 50109.